James Tavernier gets the chance to do what Rangers captains haven't been able to do for so long, and that is lift the trophy and underline that Rangers are champions for 2020-21.
It wasn't a great place for Celtic to be in. Coming into the summer, it was players wanting to leave, no manager in place. You know, the place was in a bit of a mess.
Fans have been built up for 10 in a row, and the way it panned out, the way that season went was horrific for them. They lost the league by so many points. Even the pundits were saying that Rangers were going to dominate now for the next 3 or 4 years.
I think Rangers came into the season really, really strong favourites. Obviously Celtic were in a bit of a transition year. A lot of players left, new manager coming in. Again, at that time, an unknown quantity, really.
When you think about Ange Postecoglou being appointed, big question marks about, one, whether he was going to be able to do it, and two, whether he was going to get time to do it, and three, was it actually going to be a success? And were the fans going to be capable of taking a step back and accepting this could be a season that you just have to write off?
The new league season is upon us. 768 games will be played across the Premiership, the Championship, Leagues 1 and League 2 in the SPFL this season.
On the 31st of July 2021, James Tavernier led Rangers onto the Ibrox turf as Scottish Professional Football League champions.
It was a wonderful year last year, it really was. Again, looking back on it, I know, speaking to people that were within the club, they were disappointed in their cup performances. But yeah, getting the 55th title and obviously ending Celtic's long dominance was a massive year.
And the champions began that new season in winning style.
In from James Tavernier, all the way to Yannis Hadji. Deflection, and it flashes past Stryjek. And inside 8 minutes, Rangers are in front at Ibrox. It's Kent, deflected. In goes Tavernier. Scott Wright, what a finish. That is right out of the top drawer. It's the sweetest of strikes. Bassi is there, and Kemar Roof rounds off a Rangers win, and a comfortable one in the end on the opening day of their title defence.
After Midlothian returned to the SPFL as championship winners, they'd host Celtic in their returning fixture back in the top flight.
To come back, first game back in, I think everybody around the club was really up for that game.
Going to Tynecastle for an opposition side, it's not an easy place to go. I've got to be honest and say that I was fearful for Ange Postecoglou and Celtic side.
Ginelli, he's got Boyce in the middle. Mackay-Steven desperate for the passes. Boyce, it will come to Mackay-Steven, and Hearts are the opener. What a start on the return to the top flight inside 8 minutes.
Yeah, unfortunately it was only 5,000, but the noise that they made that night was one of the loudest I think Tynecastle's been all season, because they thoroughly enjoyed it. The team gave them absolutely everything.
Inside the final 90 seconds. There's a header coming in, it's a goal! And it's John Shooter! Surely with the winner for Hearts to set Tynecastle alight.
How much that meant for everybody at Hearts coming back into the Premier League to get that win. Just probably an outpouring of emotion right at that moment.
Instantly, that pressure is just heaped onto Ange Postecoglou, his side, question marks about are they actually going to be able to make this season respectable?
Celtic had appointed Ange Postecoglou as manager. The Australian had been coaching in Japan and was largely unknown in Scotland.
Most people were saying, who is he and what qualifies him to be the Celtic manager? But obviously you do a bit of digging. Managed Australia, taking them to the World Cup, winning titles in Australia and Japan. But I think because of the pursuit, the how, the mess the club were in, the state of the squad, how far they were away from Rangers, it was like, this is a huge job.
There was question marks, there was no doubt about it. There was question marks from the media, from the fans themselves, and maybe there was a wee bit of doubt within the players. Are they going to be able to fit in?
The question marks more about not the doubts that he was able to do it, or doubts that he was a good manager. The doubts were, was there going to be time to be able to do it?
Results matter, and results at that particular time weren't quite going the way that the fans would have hoped for.
Rangers had completed the previous league season undefeated. Dundee United would be the next to test their record.
Right break for Robson, he's in here and he scored! And Dundee United hit the front against the champions. Dundee United have beaten the invincible champions Rangers by 1-0.
It's always going to come to an end, so sometimes in a way it's a bit of relief. You're never going to be happy losing any game of football, but what it does is it parks it, that it's not gone another game, it becomes 50 games unbeaten, 60 games unbeaten, you know, it's parked and it's restarting. You want to start to build another run, a long unbeaten run. So it was, it came early in the season, you know, so it was all the talk, any kind of lengthy unbeaten runs was gone, and they could just focus on the league.
Ange Postecoglou had made several new signings at Celtic, and one player in particular was standing out above the rest.
Furahashi's in the middle! It's a wonderful play by Ryan Christie. And Furahashi's there again! 2 in 5 minutes! Oh, it's beautiful from Christie! And Furuhashi does the rest! A hat-trick on your first home appearance for your new club!
Kyogo's arrival and initial performances was a surprise to everybody. Of course it was. In Scotland, we're incredibly passionate and love our football, but we're not experts on the J-League.
For the first game that I seen him live, I thought, this guy's a special player.
And it was exactly what Celtic needed. They needed like a figurehead. They needed an icon, somebody that, you know, people could look up to as a talisman.
Kyogo was on fire at the start of the season. Everybody was thinking, this centre forward, he's unbelievable. You know, his runs, his touch, his finishing prowess.
And Celtic were again ruthless in that next match.
It's Leo Labada, and Celtic are in front. Taylor's cross, 2-0 Celtic. Turnbull, there's a pocket of space to get the shot away. Abada's crossball, goal number 4 for Celtic. Edouard scores. It's Turnbull, it's a hat-trick. 6-0 against Dundee and now 6-0 against St Mirren.
At Celtic Park, those early games, they were scoring for fun. You know, they were keeping clean sheets, and I think the warning signs to the rest of the league were apparent.
Rangers would recover from defeat at Tannadice. All eyes were now on the first Old Firm clash of the season.
In Scotland and the West Coast in particular, it's certainly dominated the headlines for as long as I can remember. Being across it now and part of that media frenzy, that there's always that hype, there's always a speculation that if buts and maybes that might have happened, the permutations from the season before and how teams will shape up, the current form, there's always debate. I think we absolutely love that, and certainly the first game brought us that anticipation.
They're always crucial, those games. It's the first one of the season, but it's going to be interesting to see how Ange's team would compare.
Always hotly anticipated, always an intriguing subplot or two, always a passionate affair. Kyogo could be in here, tries to square it for Edouard, and a great intervention from Connor Goldson. Here in the hands for Ange Postecoglou.
Celtic were outstanding in that first half. Edouard missed that. I mean, that was a sitter. It should have been 1-0. You know, but sometimes these moments change games.
Here's Kent, so close for Ryan Kent.
There's such a small margin between the teams that a miss, a mistake, a moment of magic can decide the games, and it came for a set play.
Corner is Hollander! Rangers in front! And Philip Hollander powering the header past Joe Hart. And the champions have the advantage.
Hollander come up with the winning goal, but when you look back over the course of the Old Firm games over the season, they have been really, really tight.
Now Kyogo, chance for the equaliser. Kyogo, good save by Robbie McCrory.
Celtic actually played well in the game, and they had good chances within the game, but ultimately come up short.
And Rangers have the victory, a slender one, but a victory nonetheless in the first Old Firm derby of the season.
There's not a lot between the teams, you know, I would say that, and that day definitely showed that.
Ange Postecoglou suffers defeat in his first taste of the fixture. It's Rangers who hold on to their bragging rights.
You know, they'd obviously lost to Hearts in the first league game of the season. This was now the second league game away from home. But then, once you sort of calm down, you take a step back and you look at it, you say, OK, they've lost at Tynecastle, they've lost at Ibrox. They're two grounds that are not easy.
The match proved to be the last for Odsonne Edouard and Ryan Christie.
Those were good players who had done a really good turn for the club over the years, but you lose that quality, you've got to bring others in and that. But they had to, I think at time was for them to move on.
The two league defeats left Celtic 4 points off the top as August ended. The early title challenge was coming from the East Coast.
It was tight up the top there for a while. The Old Firm teams had still really to find their feet, and it was early on. There's European qualifiers to be played for them at that particular time, so there's a lot of fixtures and a lot can happen in those early league games, and we took advantage of that. We started very strongly and had a good first round of fixtures. You don't want to lose to your rivals, especially at home in the sort of first round of fixtures, and both teams were fairly level in the league at that point, so it was a huge game. It could have went either way. Both teams had chances, and just on that particular day, both goalkeepers are pulling off a number of saves, and it was a really good game. It finished 0-0, but yeah, for us it was another point, another step in the right direction. Hibs had been very successful the season before, so to come up and match them, get a 0-0, everything was starting to look good for us, and we were getting on a good run of form.
Rangers captain James Tavernier was again proving to be a major driving force for his side.
Tavernier lines one up. Oh, it's a beauty! It is an absolute beauty from James Tavernier. What a way to open your account for the season. Quite superb from Tavernier.
That goal at St Johnstone, McDermott Park, where he drifts in off the line, curling strike, that was a fantastic goal.
He's got that technique, and I mean, I was never able to do that. I don't know how you get the dip on the ball like that, how you kick it, but he's got it, and it's absolutely sensational. He's been a wonderful player, he's now been a wonderful captain over the last 4 seasons.
He's been a real, pivotal player for Rangers, and this season has been no different, really.
Celtic went to Livingston without an away win in 7 months.
Penrice finds Longridge. Shinnie gets in front of Wells, strikes the shot and into the back of the net. And against the run of play, Livingston have taken the lead here. Andrew Shinnie wheels away in celebration. Livingston 1, Celtic 0. Space to coast forward. Ajeti takes in. Oh, saved by Stryek. It's a massive win for Livingston and David Martindale.
They'd obviously went on to lose their 3rd away game in a row against Livingston. It wasn't great because they were dropping points, and you were starting to feel as if there was a theme here. At home, they were looking fantastic. Away from home, not so great.
Against Dundee United, even Celtic's home form would suffer.
Celtic don't want to be dropping any more Premiership points, having lost 3 of their first 6 league games. Dundee United have already beaten Rangers. Jota's cross ball incoming, Abada, Celtic in front. And this is Ilmari Niskanen, the Finnish international. His cross ball, Ian Hart's header, what a goal. It's an equaliser. And Dundee United are back on level terms. Well, you can hear the booing in the background as the final whistle goes. Dundee United claim a point at Celtic Park. Celtic 1, Dundee United 1.
You could see what the manager was trying to do, but I think then because, you know, unbelievably, it doesn't happen straight away. People are saying, well, it might never work, but I remember watching early clips of him at the training ground. I'm sure everybody's watched them, where it was the, you know, we go, we don't stop, we stop at half time, we stop at full time.
Just get it into your heads. We never stop. We never stop. We'll stop at half time and we'll stop at the end of the game when we celebrate. But during the game, we don't stop.
And that was the message from day one.
By the end of September, Rangers were a point clear at the top. Celtic sat in 6th place and 6 points behind. October brought Celtic and Scott Brown back together.
Celtic can't afford to fall further behind the leading pack.
The match would prove to be a turning point for Celtic.
That's a great ball and it's chested home. Kyogo scores. The right place, right time. The header is in. Aberdeen scored through Lewis Ferguson. And Aberdeen have got themselves level. Montgomery sends it across. And Jota scores for the first time in the Scottish Premiership. And they have found all 3 points for Celtic.
Celtic pop up again with another win, so it's full credit to these players, as I say, to keep going to the final whistle.
Concentrate on your own game. You'll always either lose goals, that's the game, that's the nature of the game, but it's so important that you play to the performance level that the manager wants. And I think that performance level is about tempo, it's about passing, it's about movement on the ball, to get on the ball, and there's movement off the ball. And if you put all that together and just concentrate on that, majority of the time you'll come out on top.
With a newfound confidence to win away from home, 3 back-to-back wins followed for Celtic.
They were shown that attacking-wise they could go and hurt teams, if not even stronger than before. And I think that's, you know, obviously had to take a wee bit of time. But Ange's moving in the right direction with it.
Hearts' early season form had them in 2nd place. A win at Ibrox would put them top.
Yeah, we'd been on a good run of form leading up to that game and really felt that we could get something out of it. And then didn't really particularly start the game that well.
Away only as far as Lundstrom, who tries to shape the shot, and what a shot it is! And John Lundstrom gives Rangers the lead. Top save from Craig Gordon. Header comes in, somehow saved twice. Another bit of miraculous goalkeeping from Craig Gordon.
I think it was second half before we really came into it and got the belief that we could still get something from the game.
Corner in the final minutes. Curled in, McGregor hasn't got there, there's the equaliser. And it's Craig Halkett. A McGregor mistake, and Halkett sends the Hearts fans into raptures.
It was another step along the way for everybody believing that we were going to have a good season, that we could get points from these venues and really mix it at the top end of the league.
On the 26th of October, the world learned that former Rangers and Scotland manager Walter Smith had sadly passed away.
A night of high emotion, of poignancy at Ibrox. Walter Smith was Mr. Rangers, one of the most successful managers, not just here at Ibrox, but in Scottish football folklore.
What we're passing, it hurt everybody, you know, because not only was he a brilliant Rangers man, a Rangers manager, he was just a brilliant human being. And everybody who spoke about him, everybody whose life he touched, has said the same things. So, yep, he'll never be forgotten. That's one thing for sure.
He had this presence, and you just ultimately, instantly had respect for him, for his achievements, but also because when he spoke, you listened. and more often than not, he told you something that was right, whether you liked it or not.
When you see the outpouring of heartfelt messages from everybody in Scottish football, it shows you the standing that Walter Smith had in the game, and he was held in such high regard right across the board. Inevitably, when somebody like that passes, they leave a legacy, but they also, there's going to be a void there. And I think that that certainly was the case with Walter Smith.
I remember his involvement when Tommy died, a great friend of ours, and Walter was asked to carry the coffin that particular time, and he was very, very humble and respectful also on that occasion. And I think the fans realised that also. Even though he was a winner for Rangers, he was their manager, he loved beating Celtic, but I think the fans respected, the Celtic fans, respected Walter for what he did around Tommy.
On an emotional night at Ibrox, Rangers and Aberdeen clashed in a dramatic and controversial match.
This is Dean Campbell, this is Hedges, and Ramirez stuns Ibrox! Dylan McGeer takes the corner. It's a good delivery as well, and Scott Brown makes it too! The former Celtic captain, the man the Rangers supporters love to hate, has given Aberdeen insurance at Ibrox. In from Tavernier, there's one back. Morelos gets 101, and that halves the deficit. 10 to play. And again the screams for a penalty, and this time it's given. And Rangers have a lifeline. And James Tavernier will step up. This is huge. And it's in. And James Tavernier hoists Rangers off the canvas. But a night that Rangers celebrated the life and career of Walter Smith. They came from behind to pick up a point.
I think at Ibrox that night the place was stunned, it was emotional, certainly off the back of the time that they had Walter Smith, such an iconic figure. Maybe question marks over the side and mentally how strong they could be, could they bounce back? And they certainly did, they managed to salvage a point that night, but I think Scott Brown certainly managed to take some of the headlines as well.
Drop points required a big response from Rangers, and it came at Fir Park.
Tavernier! It is a beauty! For Sakala! Sakala. Oh, and he goes again. Jubilation for Rangers. Kamara. Let's fly! Triple in. Facet Sakala gets his hat-trick. Tavernier with it. And it goes in again. It is a sixth goal. And Rangers are turning on the style.
The win ensured that Rangers ended the month 4 points clear at the top. But Celtic were now their closest challengers. Celtic had closed the gap and were performing well. Partnerships were forming within the team.
I think Celtic have a never say die attitude. I think it's play till the final whistle. It's massive to have a midfielder that can go and get double figures. And this season you've got Jota, double figures, Kyogo. And I think if you're getting goals from different areas, that not only does it help the team, but it takes huge pressure off the strikers.
Jota! It's a wonderful finish!
Jota from wide areas, I like him on the left. I know he starts on the right quite a lot, but they tend to fluctuate, they tend to swap and change. And I think with Kyogo, and he's already shown his finishing, his 2 goals against Dundee.
Kyogo! And that is magnificent!
He darts in behind, he runs across the defensive line, but he's just top notch. I think he's been so impressive.
Jota, he becomes that second striker, he's instinctive, he wants to score goals. And the assist for Kyogo is just, fast feet, down the wing, trickery, always making those combinations, those movements. And the finish from Kyogo was just exceptional that day.
League leaders Rangers welcomed Ross County to Ibrox. Rumours were circling that this could be Stephen Gerrard's last game in charge.
It's Ryan Kerr! Kent, who does turn this game on its head. Neat interchange. It's Bakuna! It's a great goal. Steven Gerrard and his team restore that 4-point advantage at the top of the Premiership.
The victory would prove to be Gerrard's last as manager.
Steven Gerrard leaves Rangers after 3 years in charge to take over at Aston Villa. In a statement, Rangers thanked Gerrard for his outstanding efforts at the club.
For over a week, the speculation had been growing, though. The change was coming. The signs, perhaps, were there.
Fully understand the reasons why, but I think everybody was disappointed because of the work that had been done. I felt the job he'd done was outstanding. So it was disappointing to see him leave, but understandable that he wanted to kick on and try his hand in the Premier League.
It was a difficult decision, and I certainly left with a heavy heart.
An opportunity like Aston Villa is a huge club, and he's probably just thought, you know, it's the right time to get out.
Rangers, I think it was a big blow for them, obviously, that they lost Steven Gerrard at that particular time. But he acted very, very quickly, I've got to say. And bringing in Giovanni van Bronckhorst was a good bit of business.
Rangers have announced Giovanni van Bronckhorst will be their next manager.
Well, when Gio got announced, it was something he's probably one of the first names that came up the minute Steven decided to leave. And it went that way. He's an ex-Rangers player, you know, so he knows the club, he knows everything about it, he knows the people that were still there, and he knows the expectation, which is the most important thing, and the demand that get put on you as a player or a manager to have success.
I think when Giovanni van Bronckhorst arrived, again, there was real excitement about the appointment. I think most Rangers fans would believe it was the right appointment, certainly being there as a player already, the wealth of experience that he has in the game.
Retaining the league title would be the new manager's top priority.
When Gio came in, he seemed the right fit in regards to all the technical and tactical stuff that surrounds it, in terms of the fact that he plays the same kind of way, similar formation.
It allowed them to try to, you know, steady the ship and move forward quickly, and try to, you know, space over the gap from Steven Gerrard to him seamlessly.
There's a reball, that is magnificent.
Giovanni van Bronckhorst has done a lot in the game, so this wasn't a novice that was coming in.
And there's Sakala with a leap and the goal. Giovanni van Bronckhorst does indeed have a victory in his first league game in charge.
On the 14th of November, Celtic said goodbye to Lisbon Lion and legend Bertie Auld.
Yeah, Bertie was larger than life. Obviously, a legend at the club from his playing days, what he achieved, right through to being an ambassador at Celtic. It's a real sore loss, losing Bertie.
Ange Postecoglou looking for Celtic continue their good domestic form in recent times. That's a lovely pass through from Turnbull to find McGregor, to Jota! And Celtic make the breakthrough. He is the man for Celtic at the moment. And now the opportunity for Lewis Ferguson. And no mistake from the Aberdeen midfielder. Here's McCarthy. That's a lovely pass through for Abada. Good save from Lewis. And it bounces in. And Celtic are 2-1 in front. It's come off Callum McGregor.
Callum was given that goal, wasn't he? I remember I was at the game, but I think that game just typified what he was all about. He's done it a few times this season, you know, when the game isn't going Celtic's way, he takes it by the scruff of the neck. I remember it kind of ricocheting in off him, but thinking, you know, you deserve that from your performance tonight. You've really drove the team to try and get the points. But he must be loving playing in this Celtic team with all the pace and energy around about him.
Rangers' lead remained at 4 points as November ended. December would prove to be a huge month in the title race. Rangers would play 6 league games in December, and they would take maximum points.
Out to Kent. A
up against Paul McGinn. Infield he comes. Does he get a penalty? He does. Up he comes, Kemar Roofs, and Rangers have what looks like a huge victory at Easter Road.
But the consistency levels were there. That's why they were at the top of the league, right up until Christmas. It was. It is ultimately it's the best team, but it's the most consistent team that find themselves at the top of the league.
Oh, it's got in! At last, Dundee's resistance is broken.
There's a real relentless nature to the performances. You start getting used to the winning as well, and even when you're playing not so well, you find a way to win, and that's what champions do. So winning the game, particularly in that spell when you've got European football as well, the games are coming thick and fast. You know, you're playing every 3 or 4 days, and it's tough.
Morelos eventually slots it past Adam Lexton's for Rangers third.
Even more impressive was the fact that Gio had just came through the door, but there were slight tweaks to the way that Rangers were going to play, and you could see that. And again, it actually made them at that point, it made them more of a threat. They were scoring a lot of goals over that period. They weren't losing any games. They were conceding probably fewer as well. It was a real positive start to Gio's reign.
I think that when he was appointed, they made some tweaks at the start. He had a great start in the league. And he's shown tactically he's well aware of what's required to be successful.
What Bronkhorst has done, he's added that tactical flexibility to the team. You know, sometimes he'll play 3 at the back, sometimes he'll press at other times. A lot of good flexibility within his tactics, and the players have responded to that. So I think he's done really exceptionally well from that perspective.
The League Cup would be the first trophy of the season. And after falling behind to Hibernian, one player would make the difference for Celtic.
Kyogo in the League Cup final, it was like, well, Hibs have took the lead, and then within 30 seconds, Kyogo's so alert, and he's on the attack, he's running behind, and it's a brilliant finish.
Kyogo, he just lifted the whole place, and he lifted the fans. And in that particular game, he was really, really sharp, and he scored a critical goal.
And then he went and got the winner, the vision to lob the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper's coming out to score the second goal, which beat Hibs. It was just top class.
For Ange Postecoglou, that cup final in the first part of the season where things are moving along, but there's been a few troughs here and there, that was a real, marker and a pivotal point in the season to stick up on the board and say, look, we're moving in the right direction.
Celtic were also on good form and won 5 of their 6 December league matches.
You've got Rogic, we saw his goal at Dundee United.
Collected by Tom Rogic.
But he picks it up out near the dugout.
Cuts inside, he's away from Spola.
And he runs and he keeps going, and all of a sudden he finds that beautiful left foot finish.
What a run this is! We'll get that one on the list for a goal of the season.
Some of the performances were excellent. Some of the football they played were outstanding. They just keep going. They just keep attacking, and they keep playing the same way.
Celtic have scored many last-minute goals this season. You look at Ralston, 97th minute up at Ross County.
Back in it comes, there's the chance, it's a goal! And Celtic have won it in the 7th minute of added on time!
You felt at that point that if you're going to go and put up a challenge, because at that point it was still, can Celtic go and put pressure on Rangers? If you're going to do that, you have to win games like that, and maybe, come the end of the season, you'll look back and say, that was a huge moment, and I'm pretty sure most people will look back and say, that was a huge moment in the season.
On Celtic's last match before the winter break, they suffered a serious setback to their title challenge.
Kyogo just pulled up, and that could be a worry for Celtic. Kyogo's game is over. A real blow for Celtic. Rabada! Rogic, now it's beaten! There it is! Celtic surely now wrapping up the points.
Rangers' perfect month opened the lead to 6 points as Celtic fell further behind. Transfer deadline day brought a massive new signing to Rangers.
Well, at first when it was kind of leaked, I speculated that Ramsey was going to Rangers. I didn't think it was possible.
It's a world-class football. It's as simple as that. So to get someone like that coming for Juventus on loan for the half season, I think it fooled everybody.
There was questions, of course there was. He's a player that's really struggled through injury and fitness, but ultimately he's a big game player, and I think people were really intrigued to see how he would perform in a Rangers jersey.
He was a quality player, but when you've been out of the team for a while, you've got injuries, then are you going to be really, really effective? And it's been, I think, proven that he's had that injury now and he hasn't been able to be effective for Rangers enough.
Ange Postecoglou would again look to Japan's J-League for new recruits.
I think coming in, obviously from the Japanese league, he knew what he was getting with the likes of Kyogo, but I think that encouraged him, to think, well, that route's a success, I can delve back into that market.
Maeda's done really well.
And it's a goal on a debut for Nathan Maeda, and he's an instant hero.
Hatate, when I seen him first, Rio Hatate, I thought he was sensational in the first game.
And Hatate will go for goal! Rio Hatate breaks the deadlock in some style.
What they've added to the squad. They have kind of re-energised the place when they came in.
That's what it's all about, it's Celtic and clubs like that. You bring in quality that lifts everybody that's already there and you move forward.
The death of former manager Wim Jansen was further sad news for Celtic.
Rangers were dominant. They'd won 9 themselves, they were going for 10, and Wim came in. I only kind of look back now and realise, how significant and how important that season was in Celtic's history, and he was the guy that led us to stop the 10.
He was very unassuming. It was a huge season for Celtic, as we know, and he got the best out of the players. A really nice man, and a terrible shame that we've lost him.
Rangers dropped points at Pittodrie in a 1-1 draw at Aberdeen. But the title race will take a massive swing on the last Saturday of the month.
Ross County were on the up at that point when Rangers went up to Dingwall. It was also off the back of dropping points against Aberdeen in the opening league game, coming back after the break. So these games had a big impact.
Rangers were pretty dominant at parts of that game. They got themselves in front and they looked like they were just going to see it out. It looked like it was going to be a tough game, not an easy game for them, but they would do enough to see it out. Some of the play was really good.
They'd got themselves in front, looked as if they were going to hold on, then lo and behold, no.
Decent delivery, McGregor's lost it, there's the equaliser. It's an Alan McGregor nightmare. Here's a chance for Charles Cook, and Ross County have turned it around. Testing Vokins. There's the shot with the left foot. Maynard Brewer couldn't hold it. Another chance for Rangers. There's the equaliser, and it's James Tavernier. Saved, it must be. It's got it. Connor goes and puts Rangers in front. And it comes. McGregor can't get hold of it. It's slashed in. Deep into stoppage time. Drawing County level.
It was a huge game. To concede a last-minute goal is always disappointing. But to be honest, conceding 3 goals for Rangers is a big disappointment in any game.
And on the night the club paid tribute to Wim Jansen, Celtic could cut the lead to just 2 points.
Celtic have been chasing the whole season, but that's the point where they're in touching distance and they're looking and saying, right, Rangers have dropped points. If we win this game, we go closer, knowing that you go into the game against Rangers where you can go above them.
The Celtic players would have known that Rangers had slipped up. They would have known the importance of trying to capitalise.
Things seem to be going against Celtic.
And Nirbaton is given a second yellow for bringing down Declan Glass on the edge of the area. Celtic's stand-in captain for the afternoon is off.
There's big pressure on that game as well. Celtic go and play 90 odd minutes at home, and it looks like, you know, Rangers are going to get off with it.
You could see that Celtic now had that they were never beaten. You know, they were never done until that 90th minute came.
Jota. Cross is dangerous. It's going to come for Abada! Celtic have found a way through with 10 men. They've kept going and they have ignited the title race.
It was mayhem and the noise at Celtic Park because they knew how important that 3 points was.
To keep going and score last-minute goals, it's not a fluke. It's not a fluke. That's having the desire, the character to keep going. You know, it takes a second to score a goal.
I think that's when you listen to the manager's message about not stopping. I think that epitomised it, and it was a huge moment in the season, there's no doubt.
What a massive result in the context of the entire season. Liel Abada's goal takes Celtic within touching distance of Rangers at the top, ahead of next week's clash in Glasgow.
They managed to go over the line, and I think those late winners in those key moments will be more significant, I think, when you look back over the course of the season.
Celtic's late win over Dundee United meant Rangers and Celtic were now separated by just 2 points at the top of the league. And on the 2nd of February, they would meet at Celtic Park.
An Old Firm derby under the lights, a sufficiently rare event for the atmosphere to crackle just that little bit louder. Very little to choose between these giants who will rule the Glasgow Roost tonight.
I was confident they could step up, of course, because it's an Old Firm game, and at that moment now, had Celtic won, Celtic went top of the league. So there was a lot at stake, and it was all kind of culminating in this night where Celtic absolutely blew Rangers away.
They started that game unbelievably.
Rio Hatate comes in and just sets the place alight.
Again, it's headed clear, it comes to Hatate, he'll take the shot, oh, and it finds the bottom corner! And Celtic, with a breathtaking start to the derby, and how those fans are lapping up the revolution inside Celtic Park.
Hatate's 2 goals blew Rangers away in the 45 minutes at Celtic Park that night.
Now Hatate looking for a second, he's got it! It's fantastic from Rio Hatate!
Hatate's second goal he scored, he's sort of bent the ball in that near post and it's gone right in the near post. Alan McGregor couldn't quite get there. Wonderful finish, I think it put Celtic 2-0 up on the night, or maybe even 3-0. I'm losing my mind a bit with all these goals.
Here's Hatate, ball in, and it's a third goal for Celtic, and it's Abada! Rangers stood watching as Liel Abada made Celtic's half-time lead an emphatic one, and Celtic are running away with this.
Getting the goal just before half-time for Celtic 2 was a crucial goal, that third goal.
The game was won in 45 minutes, which is remarkable really, considering how far Celtic had to go to get there, to that point, from the summer to that point, knowing that if they go and win that game, they go back in top of the league.
Those 60,000 Celtic fans thoroughly enjoying the evening. It's all over, and Ange Postecoglou comes out on top in his first battle with Giovanni van Bronckhorst, as Celtic return to the top of the table for the first time this season.
You know, even the die-hard, you know, Rangers, the likes of Kenny Miller and 1 or 2 others, and, you know, they almost came away thinking, wasn't sure Celtic could do that to the champions, you know.
3-0 in the first half, it could have been 5. From where they had came from, and everything that had been, all the noise surrounding this season for Celtic, that would have been a big, big moment for them.
And then they went top of the league, and that was a real psychological moment, I think, for the Celtic team.
Now, leading the title race, Celtic had to prove they had the ability to stay in front.
Rogic picks it up and picks his spot brilliantly.
And the mentality to dig deep when it mattered. After taking a 2-goal lead at Pittodrie, the character would be tested when Aberdeen fought back.
Leaves it for Ramirez! Aberdeen have won back,
It's a really well worked free kick. Ojo sends it in, it's a good header, and there is the equaliser. And it's Lewis Ferguson.
At Pittodrie, when Aberdeen get back on level terms, you think this is going to maybe pander out for a drop 2 points.
Ange Postecoglou, I think you would run all day for him. I think looking at them over the course of the season, as a footballer, you want excitement, you want to attack. Nobody wants to defend. That's the last thing in football that anybody wants to do. But I think the message that he sent from the minute he walked in the door, I think has been very clear.
It's going to come to Jota, who lashes home, and Aberdeen were only level for a matter of seconds.
It's full credit to these players, as I say, to keep going to the final whistle, and they have got their rewards.
After falling behind in the league, Rangers found solace in Europe.
You know, they've been absolutely incredible, their performances. Away to Dortmund, this is one of the best teams in Europe. You know, this is not just a run-of-the-mill European team, this is a team that are a Champions League outfit. Straight away, they're favourites to win the Europa League. Rangers go away and win 4-2.
For a Scottish team to go and take on Borussia Dortmund at that stage of any competition, I thought it was so impressive.
And although impressive in European competition, chinks in their domestic armour gave Celtic the chance to move further ahead. Rangers dropped points in their final February match at home to Motherwell. And as February ended, Celtic were leading the league by 3 points. Rangers would keep pressure on Celtic with 3 wins from 3 in the league.
Tavernier, it's deep, Morelos is there, and there's Ramsey! And there's the equaliser! Ramsey celebrates his first Rangers goal! It is Goldson! That is massive for Rangers!
Rangers were flying in Europe, domestically. Celtic just couldn't afford to drop any points.
And with 3 wins from 3, Celtic would also record maximum points in March.
Giacomakis, 1-0. There's danger at the back post. Maida headed off the line. The second header is in, and Giacomakis gets a double. Giacomakis, Maida. Game, set and match already to Celtic, you suspect. Well, this for the hat-trick. Celtic's 4th goal of the afternoon. Celtic's 4th hat-trick of the season.
It's exciting to see both teams going for it right down to the wire.
Only 3 points separated the top 2 ahead of the 3rd Old Firm match of the season. Their meeting at Ibrox was colossal for both.
After Celtic win, you know, the one at Celtic Park, you know that Rangers have got a chance to go and, you know, claw that deficit back.
That 3rd game, depending where you're playing, whether you're at home, if you lose it at home, then you're kind of under a lot of pressure.
I think Rangers knew that they had an opportunity, albeit they were behind in the league. They're at home, they have that advantage with the fans, with the supporters.
Rangers had to lay a glove on Celtic. They were the ones that were now chasing. They had to win this game.
This fixture is never meaningless, but this one means more than any other in recent times. If not a title decider, then at the very least, a match that will have a huge bearing on the destiny of the Premiership trophy.
I thought Rangers set up very well in the first 15-20 minutes.
It was a great start for Rangers, the way they went and put Celtic under pressure.
Rangers came out the traps and they learnt the lessons for the previous game. They were right front foot, they were aggressive, they didn't let Celtic settle and get a foothold and get into the rhythm, and they got a goal.
That's a lovely ball from Bassey for Kent. Can he pick out a teammate? And Rangers in front! And Aaron Ramsey with a massive goal! What a start from Rangers!
Ramsey scores, you're thinking to yourself, that's what he's there for, you know, to have an impact in those big games.
And you think, you know, this is on here. It's the title race is well and truly on.
But Celtic's reaction was just calm and composed.
Within, I think it was 6 minutes after Ramsey scoring, Celtic hit back.
Against the run of play, Celtic, Callum McGregor takes charge.
Callum McGregor, the captain.
We saw what Callum McGregor is all about, that driving run.
Bassey trying to get back at him. Here's Rogic with the opening. Blocked away to Hatate. McGregor saves. There's Rogic again with the equaliser. And Celtic immediately respond, and Tom Rogic.
1-1 against the running play.
And then Celtic went and had moments of control in the game.
Tavernier slips. Great goalkeeping by McGregor. Here's Rogic though. Comes off Bassey, who manages to clear.
And then the game falls into a way that pretty much the last three have. There's not a lot between them. And then right before half-time, Celtic get the goal to put them 2-1 up.
Celtic ending the first half, the stronger side. Here they have another opportunity. Lundstrom can't get it clear. Carter Vickers smashes home, and Celtic have turned around. Big style at Ibrox.
Probably like a Rangers goal in terms of big ball into the box, big defenders causing havoc. It bounces nicely to Carter Vickers, and he smashes it and puts Celtic 2-1 up just before half-time.
For the last maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, Rangers put Celtic under loads of pressure. Rangers threw absolutely everything at them.
In the second half of that game, it was absolutely pinned for halfway line down to their goal. And a lot of the action was in and around the Celtic box.
The defensive side of things, they were up to the challenge.
There was a few half chances of the roof. I think had a volley where he's just off target. But Rangers never done enough to create an open Celtic up to get that really good opportunity to get back into the game.
There's the full-time whistle. Ange Postecoglou's sides have come up with a massive win that puts them on the brink of their 10th title in 11 seasons.
Celtic 6 points up, and at that point I think you never give up, but it was going to be a real uphill task to get back into it now for Rangers.
And remember, Celtic hadn't beaten Rangers for 7 games, going back a couple of years, I believe. So to have beaten them twice, in a season, that would have given the Celtic team a lot of confidence as well, because Rangers is no doubt a very good side.
Going into that game, Celtic were on top. That result, I think, just hammered home the title's going to be Celtic's.
Celtic by now had eyes on a treble. The Scottish Cup was Rangers' best hope of domestic success.
The shot! And there's the opening goal! And it's Greg Taylor of all people! Roof. Arfield! What a strike from Scott Arfield to draw Rangers level! Bassey, what can he pick out here? It's Sakala for Rangers! Rangers have come from behind to clinch their place in the 2022 Scottish Cup final.
At the end of April, Celtic were now 6 points clear, with only 4 league games remaining. Rangers had one last chance to save the title.
Celtic, of course, sitting in a very strong position at the top of the table. They're 6 points clear with 4 games to go. It would appear that Rangers are about to be deposed, or will there be one of those incredible twists in the final few matches of the campaign?
I think Rangers started that game the best, but Celtic came into it, got the goal at the right time.
Across goal it comes, and there's the opening goal. It is Jota who strikes first Bedlam in the stands.
Then had other chances. Maeda had a header.
Maeda, he just panics.
But then Rangers come into the game. Sakala scored a great goal, hit the inside of the post.
And Rangers have pegged Celtic back.
From a Celtic perspective, want to get that over the line, no damage done.
It's all over. An absolutely riveting Old Firm derby ends all square. The title party is on hold for Celtic.
Keep the 6 point gap intact, and again they managed to do that.
Celtic and Rangers, they draw the last game, which again was a critical one. I think psychologically all the players believe, hey, we're not that far away now. We just keep doing the business week in, week out now. They're not going to catch us.
Rangers look like having to rely on cup glory.
Rangers' Europa League run ended in Seville, losing out on the last kick of the ball. However, the season would end with silverware, after Scottish Cup success at Hampden.
Right eyes on the goal and scores! It is Scottish Cup salvation for Rangers!
On Wednesday, the 11th of May, Celtic would earn the point they needed to become champions.
A real sense of expectation at Tannadice tonight. It's no wonder the visiting fans have travelled in anticipation of a title party. Ralston picks up once more. And there's Giakoumakis! And the party can start. Barely a flicker of emotion on Ange Postecoglou's face. But the players celebrate, the fans do likewise. And Celtic are champions again. A 10th league title in 11 years, a 52nd overall, and Ange Postecoglou has masterminded a phenomenal turnaround in the space of 9 months.
What Ange has done, he's come in and he's given everybody that belief again. The crowd are back with him, and I'm just proud of the way that they've managed to clinch the title back from a really good Rangers team.
And on the final day of the season, Ange Postecoglou and his players arrived at Celtic Park as champions.
Fittingly, a guard of honour as for the final time this season. 60,000 fans have packed into Celtic Park, this time to acclaim the champions of Scotland.
His style of play is exactly what you want to see. You want to see teams that want to go and attack and play with energy and freedom and create chances and score goals and excite people. And he's doing that all the while rebuilding a team, rebuilding a club, winning the title. It's absolutely remarkable.
It's a mess of the clearance. There's Kyogo to open the scoring. Well, he only needs half a chance. Wins it back, Turnbull. Big chance for Turnbull to make it 2. Ralston over the top for Kyogo. That is brilliant. Ralston picks out Kyogo. Maida now. Jota. It's a title procession at Celtic Park this afternoon. Giakoumakis with the acrobatic finish. Welsh is in there, so too Giakoumakis. His second. It's all over. A quite scintillating performance to cap an absolutely brilliant season for Ange Postecoglou and his side.
The one thing that, for me, as to why Celtic have won the league is they appointed Ange Postecoglou.
Oh, I think, listen, without the leader, without Ange Postecoglou, I don't think it would have happened. To come in and do what he's done in such a short time is quite incredible.
And in front of a Celtic Park faithful, the final words of the season would belong to Ange Postecoglou.
Champions, that's who we are. Enjoy the summer, and we'll come back bigger, better, because we never stop.
A 52nd league trophy, their 10th in 11 years. Celtic are champions again.